Howdy!
Hello!
Hello, today is a very Pokemon-centric episode. If you do not like Pokemon, this is not the one for you. We are talking about the Pokemon Direct, we are talking about the new Pokemon Snap announcement, all of the slew of other shitty mobile games they announced, and the Sword and Shield expansion, the first part, Isle of Armor. So, stick around.
Yeah, I keep... no, there's no Poke puns that I can make right now, but I really hope you enjoy this episode.
Alright, we'll C.U on the other side. Hello!
Howdy!
A little subversion of your expectations there.
Yep. We're throwing wild card after wild card until we're following Nintendo's footsteps and being unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yep.
How are you doing, Andy?
Bryan? Oh, well, shit. We'll give this another try next week then.
I'm great. Let me check my outline to see what I did this week. I have to write it down so I don't forget. Well, I have a new webcam, which is nice. Hopefully that will reflect a better viewing quality. It's less work to set up, which is great. It's not... I can actually use my keyboard when I have my camera out now, so that's nice. Yeah, so I have a new webcam. I've watched all of The Politician Season 2 on Netflix, which I really enjoy that show. I've started watching Pose, the second season with Aaron. Next week is the season finale for Harley Quinn, the animated series. And so far it's at a really cliffhanger spot, I guess. It's a good show. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, so this is season 2, correct? Yeah.
This is season 2. It's
okay.
And this is a show that they don't release it all like Netflix, where they release a whole season. I think it's because they don't have much content, honestly, and so they have to kind of gate it in a way that keeps people subscribed for multiple months. But yeah, I really enjoy the show. I'd recommend it. You could subscribe right now and watch all of season 1 and season 2 and then cancel. Yeah. I would suggest that. Yeah, I also had a little bit of I've been playing Pokemon Sword and Shield, not Isle of Armor update.
We both have, yeah.
And we'll get into that later. That's kind of the meat and potatoes of this episode. But I saw a commercial for Tamagotchi, and they say
what
Tamagotchi.
Right
Well, Tamagotchi, I feel like they've been, since they integrated into society, they've always been here a little bit. They've been watching.
I've never seen commercials recently, though. I mean, I don't have cable.
It must be. Well, it was on something. I don't think it was Instagram. It was an advertisement somewhere I saw. And I've seen it 3 times now, or multiple times. And every time they say Tamagotchi. And so I'm like, I had this thing where I was like, wait, Tamagotchi? What? Have I been saying it wrong this whole time? And then I had a moment of clarity where I was like, you know what? I remember when I was younger, there was a Mario commercial on TV, on cable. And they would say, I don't know what game it was for, but it was for a game. And they said Mario. And that broke my brain when I heard that. And so I started to feel bad, have I been saying Tamagotchi wrong this whole time? Is it Tamagotchi? And then I was like, wait. I went down this whole rabbit hole. But anyway, I think it's Mario. I think it's Tamagotchi. I will continue to say those things.
Yeah. I think you're with 99.9% of the world here on that. Yeah.
I had to look up why that commercial said Mario, and it's potentially that it was a Canadian either a voice actor or whatever who recorded the voiceover for the commercial
Yeah.
is why they think that. But just very strange stuff. If I had a character and someone was pronouncing the name strange, I would say like, hey, like that's not it. Hey friend, like it's Mario, it's not Mario. But
you say Mario one more time and
if I'm
get
paying,
on your merry way.
yeah. Anyway, so that's really all I've been up to. What have you been up to, Andy?
Major breakthroughs on your side here. So I'm excited. We're kind of in the middle of what would have been E3, but it is now being stretched out throughout the summer. So we've been getting lots of announcements, and I have been in a mad scramble trying to wake up early and stay and tune in to all these different streams so I can be up to date on all these announcements. But some highlights: we're getting a Crash Bandicoot 4, which I after the reveal, which I think is scheduled for tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow, the 22nd.
But
it'll be out by the time this podcast comes out.
Yeah, so maybe we'll talk about it if it, depending on how mind-blowing it is, but that's interesting. The new Arms fighter for Smash Brothers is going to be announced tomorrow, so we're going to find out who that is. They've announced that no other characters will be announced tomorrow other than the Arms fighter, so that has distilled a lot of rumors, but I feel like people are still expecting more.
What was the rumor?
The rumor is that they're going to throw... The rumor is always that they're adding an Arms fighter and blank. So there's not like a primary rumor saying there's a specific character, but there's always like, oh, well, like, this hot source guy said that there's like a, they're adding Geno to Smash finally,
If we ever became like more popular, we could make those rumors. We could start that.
Yeah, that's my dream. I see these graphic designers working on fake screenshots, and then they reveal videos of how they did it like a couple weeks after everyone's talked about it.
Yeah.
And I live for that. To be behind it,
we could do it. Great. Why not? Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's make a fake,
Let's make fake games.
I've been playing through The Last of Us Part 2, along with the Pokemon expansion. Last of Us Part 2, I think I have to be 4 or 5 hours in. It's pretty good so far. I wouldn't say that it's better than the first one, but I wouldn't say it's worse either. I think it complements it very well. And I'll save my final thoughts for once I complete the game. It has definitely thrown some curveballs at me, so I'm really happy that I've avoided spoilers. But yeah. And the last thing on my that's been going on in my life is I was excited for the Artemis Fowl movie. I saw the Artemis Fowl movie, and I hated the Artemis Fowl movie. It was so bad. Words can describe it. It was super bad. It was I would not recommend watching it. I don't think children would really like it. It is very different from the source material. Child actors are the main characters.
Do you think kids would care? Good. Do you think kids would care though that it's not? Like, do you think kids are still reading those books?
I think kids want heroes to be interesting.
Okay.
And I think that Artemis Fowl doesn't really do anything in this movie. He kind of runs around. They fight a troll, kind of, maybe.
So I haven't seen this, obviously. I'm just kind of asking for comparison. Like, when we were younger, like, Spy Kids was kind of a bigger deal. And, like, looking back, I haven't watched it recently, but I could say that it's probably not good. You know what I mean? Is it that same way, or is it like no? Like,
I'd say no. I think it's more because with Spy Kids, like I think of Spy Kids and I think of like this, like the jetpack chase scene, and I think about them sneaking into the fortress, and there are those freakishly nightmarish thumb things looking for. There's like set pieces like that.
Okay.
Whereas Artemis Fowl, it primarily takes place in one location. And there's only like one big set piece fight that really happens, and the rest of it is them just kind of talking about what's happening.
That's good.
It's like if I was a kid, I'd probably get bored.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, This is a movie where if you saw it in theaters, there'd be children running up and down the aisles because they're not paying attention to the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was horrible. I'm devastated. This movie's been in development hell for 10 years, and it finally came out, and it's bad. But I'm moving on, and I'm looking forward to the next thing to complain about.
Good. I'm glad.
So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what's next on the film docket whenever the next movie comes out. But yeah.
Well, I have something else for you to complain about.
Yeah, and I'm sadly prepared to complain about it, but I'm gonna be more optimistic than
the Pokemon Sword and Shield Isle of Armor expansion, or I guess it's part 1 of the expansion was released this past week. My opinion, I enjoyed the main game, and after for someone like, and you know this, Andy, because you know I was upset like before the game came out as well.
Sure. Yeah.
And I can look back on that now and think that I shouldn't have been. I think the things I was upset about, I think they would have always shaken out like all right in the end. And I think, however, that Nintendo did listen to a lot of people, or Game Freak, or whoever was listening. I think they did a good job of listening to a lot of concerns people had when the game was first being talked about, and when we found out not all the Pokemon would make it in. I think there's been a really concerted effort to remedy that in a lot of the changes I see in this game. You go to the Isle of Armor. They released a whole wave of Pokemon. It just addressed so many issues. Pokemon can just follow you outside of your Pokeball now. They didn't say it was a feature. They just kind of, that's a thing that's happening.
By that too, yeah.
Which I don't know, that makes me excited. That's like great. That's not something that people like should just be a part of the game. You know what I mean? By adding that in that way, I think.
Yeah, I share the sentiment. My thought on it, and so I think both of you had a very positive experience with the base game.
Yes.
I went at it with a lot higher expectations, so I was let down because I had it's debatedly impossible expectations for this first console Pokemon game. So I didn't have a negative experience, but I didn't love it. It was okay. I finished it.
Yeah.
But it was all right. So when I look at a feature like this, I think this is great because it shows that there's still surprises up their sleeve, but there's also the limitation of you can only have Pokemon follow you on that island. And maybe because we talked a little bit about this before, maybe there's a technological limitation or some reason outside of this expansion why your Pokemon can't follow you around the base game.
I have to believe that because I don't see a reason why they wouldn't have implemented it otherwise. You know what I mean?
It's so sad that it can't.
I also told you I don't have any reason to go really back to the other places other than to like do some shopping at the boutiques for the new outfits and everything. And like, there's really not much. I mean, I could go to the Battle Tower, but I really am enjoying the new wild area and like the new activities that they've added. There's no reason for me to go back to the old area right now.
And that reminds me of another positive thing about this is that once you have purchased the expansion, it embeds itself into your main game, so you can start the expansion whenever you want. So you don't have to finish the base game to get started with this expansion. So if you're in the middle of the game, you could just hop on the train, derail the story, and just quickly work your way through these dojo trials and then get back to the main game later. So that's one cool thing. If I had just purchased the game now, I'd have a nice palate cleanser. If things got boring in the base game, I could go and do something else for a little bit and then come back. So
I feel oppositely. I feel like this is a great, I feel recharged by this. Like, I enjoyed the game, I played it, and most times for Pokemon games, I'll play through them and then I finish it and then I put it down and maybe I'll pick it up every once in a while, but I don't continue playing if there's no more story to play through. And so by paying $30, which, if they had released this like any other Pokemon game, then you would pay $60 for playing through the entire game again and the new features. And I don't want to do that. I want to play with the Pokemon that I have, and I want to continue from where I am. So $30 for this and another part of the expansion, I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best possible solution. I don't know if I would have bought a $60 game that just implemented some changes on this. I don't know if I would have done that, but $30 for like all this new content in my eyes, I'm like, great, I love it. This is perfect.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like other scenario, because like my scenario is finish the main game, now starting the expansion. Mm-hmm. But there's also plenty of other scenarios in which like anybody who's gonna get a Switch this year or this holiday season, they're going, if they get Pokemon, they now have this expansion pass that maybe they can explore it once they finish, or maybe there's a bundle somewhere along the lines and they just get it.
I think you have to look in terms of like context. Like most of the people that have the game probably already have, that are going to have the game probably already have it. Most kids that got it, and not to say like people won't, more people won't get it, but I think the majority of players have already got the game, and I guess I feel kind of like I'm a long time like World of Warcraft player, and if an expansion comes out, then there's no like there might be a catch up mechanic for like someone that comes into the game after an expansion comes out, because now there's like, I don't know, is it 8 expansions or something? There's a bunch, but like you can start the game and play through it and get to that point now, and there's things that'll accelerate your time, but it's like they're really making the games for the people that are continued playing. Like that's kind of what it feels like this is. It's like it's for the people that already have it that want something more. Sure. And that's kind of how I view it.
It is possible to, like, I was just exploring that scenario, though it's unlikely, that it is possible to, come approach this expansion without finishing the base game.
Yeah.
But
it's an interesting design choice.
I like the fact that it is an option, because in 15 years from now, when the next generation of Pokemon comes out and they do something like this, and if I opt out, but then they release some expansion that everybody's hyped up about, I could hop in and, all right, well, let me jump into this expansion because everyone's talking about it right now, and then I'll play base game later or something. I just like that the malleability there. There's not a gatekeeping, like, sure, you have to have this finished to start. It's
certainly interesting. I wouldn't have expected that from Pokemon. That,
it reminds me of Skyrim, or like whenever you add an expansion, it kind of adds a whole sub story and new locations, but you don't have to finish the main story to do it. But yeah.
So there is 107 new Pokemon added. I guess I shouldn't say new, but 107 returning Pokemon in this expansion. Yeah. So exciting. Dunsparce is in it. It feels like it feels like a breath of fresh air. I've been running around that same wild area in the main area of the game for so long. Now it's cool to see new Pokemon and a whole new, like, there's so many different environmental like biomes in this island. It's really neat. I love that.
The whale lords are the coolest. Like you can see whale lords out in the distance, and they're huge. And it's the type of thing that that's like I love seeing that, and that's like a glimpse into like the future of the series is like more things, like just seeing the whale lords just out in the wild in the water like that is so cool. And just kind of seeing all these Pokemon out and about, I'd like to see. It just makes me like I was just like, man, if this is what they're doing now, imagine what they're going to do like with the next generation of games. This is what we have now, and I've been kind of looking at it through that lens, and so that's been making me really excited. Is just seeing all of that. Also, since it is an expansion carrying off of base game, it was really hard for me to like start making some difficult cuts to my 6 Pokemon team, because now I'm being exposed to so many new Pokemon. I'm being given new Pokemon on this new adventure, and I'm like, man, I'm sorry. What is the huge chipmunk? Greedent. I'm sorry, Greedent. You're not. You gotta make the cut. You're gonna be replaced with a Blastoise for a bit. Sorry. I caught a Jigglypuff, and I spent like 30 minutes trying to figure out who am I going to replace on my team and put Jigglypuff in, because Jigglypuff's great. But
that's kind of the cool thing about this game is like you don't have to think in terms of like I have 6 Pokemon on my team. Like, yeah, for battle purposes, sure. But like when you're just out exploring, like you can just switch them in and out like all the time. Like,
sure, yeah.
That's such a nice, like, there's so many features that are added in this game that I think are a little taken for granted. Yeah, I'm like, there's so many, like, playing this game is so, I don't know. There is a way now, all the Pokemon that have access to a Gigantamax form, you now have the ability to feed them the special soup as part of the story in the dojo to give them their Gigantamax form, which is amazing. This whole time I've been like, well, it's kind of a bummer. Like, what if you get like a shiny Gengar and like he's not Gigantamax, but you know what I mean? I'm like, that'd be a bummer. Like, but now you can just make him shiny and like, or not make him shiny, but you can make him Gigantamax. I'm like, that's amazing. That's so great. That's another good quality of life change because it doesn't really impact anything. It's just a little bit easier on the player.
The Cramomatic too is a really nice feature, which is like you get 2 items that you don't want anymore, you put in a machine, and then it generates a new item that maybe you will appreciate more.
Yeah, so it's certainly interesting.
Neat. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's one of those things like you can tell they're experimenting. I wonder if that'll be a mainstay because it definitely seems like maybe they'll be in the next iteration of the series, maybe it won't, but it's interesting that they're messing around with things like that, and they're considering the huge influx of random items you find sitting around that you might not use. I think that's neat.
There's also just like the storyline of this expansion I think is fun, and it's quick, it's light, and it's good. It's just you go through a dojo, you're paired up with a special Pokemon, and you're essentially fighting the entire time you're on this island. You're fighting against your new rival, which is either Clara or Avery. And
is Avery a jerk? I'm sorry.
What?
Is Avery a jerk?
I think they're. I don't have Avery. I have Clara as well.
Oh, we both have
you and I both have Sword.
Okay.
But I think they're just kind of mirrors of each other. They're like stand-ins of each other.
Okay.
So I think he is a jerk too. But it's cool because you get to take this Pokemon and you get to befriend it, and then you get to take it down like either the path of water or the path of darkness, which was like, oh.
Yeah, that's weird.
I made mine dark. My Urshifu.
I plan on making him dark. I have not made it inside of the tower yet,
but yeah, so the new characters in this area are great. There's Mustard, the Dojo Master. You have Honey, his wife, which kind of looks like Princess like Daisy a little bit. You have the new rivals, Clara and Avery, which both have these like. Clara looks like she would be the poison gym leader, and Avery looks like he'd be a psychic gym leader. I love their designs; they're so good.
They consistently, this is the number one best thing that they've done with this generation, and they continue to knock it out of the park with these trainer designs. And that, like, Clara's facial expressions are so, like, just like it's eye candy. Like, I can't, like, she's so expressive in the cutscenes.
Yeah.
And it makes me like, were people that expressive in base game cutscenes? Because like she like has,
I think a little bit, but I think there's some like special attention given to like these rival characters. Like they have these like, it's almost like when Team Rocket is in the anime and they like zoom in on their faces and they're like making a face and they're like, I really don't like this kid. Like it's kind of that energy. It's like that same thing. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like I like this.
I love it.
Yeah.
That was like a huge takeaway for me. Like I don't remember characters like even like Hop and who was the Pokemon Leon. Like even Leon and
we had
Rose.
We had Bede, who was kind of the asshole of the You have what's her name? Marnie and Bede, which are like Marnie's like the one that looks kind of mean, but she's ultimately nice.
One,
and Bede is like looks nicer, but he's actually an asshole. But he doesn't quite fit like a true like asshole. I want them to be like older than me, and I want to like destroy them. Like
the Pokemon fantasy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just felt like they weren't as expressive as Clara was in this, and so I saw that as like an improvement of they're putting a lot more detail into these cutscenes now.
It's
I
a
don't
little
know, maybe
more refined.
yeah, maybe it's been a while, or maybe because I am totally in love with Clara's character design, so maybe I'm just like she can do no wrong, and so everything that this character does is like.
I think they had more time to work. Like I don't know this. This is all conjecture. I think they might have had more time to work on like a more focused part of the game, and that's why it kind of feels like it feels a little better.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the character designs are they continue to be my favorite part about these games.
There's this whole like you can find Alolan Diglett on the island, like in all the different areas. There's like a 10 in one area, 20 in another, 3 in one. Like so, you find all of them, and each time you find a certain amount of them, this guy gives you a special Alolan Pokemon or like a Alolan form, and then once you find like 130 of them, most of them, he gives you a Alolan starter based on the starter you chose. So yeah. I got Litten, and then once you get all of them, your special reward is Alolan Diglett, which is like my least favorite Pokemon. Yeah.
Ever?
I don't like it. It's one of those designs that's too silly for me to enjoy as like a real thing. Like it's obviously that's like fair. They put wigs on it, and I'm like, in theory, I should really love this, but I don't. I don't like stupid, silly designs.
Yeah, so Pokemon really satisfies the completionist in me. So having and the Diglets, there's so many of them. I have yet to. I'm sure whenever there's like single digit Diglett left, it's gonna get really annoying finding them. But whenever I find like 2 or 3 of them in an area, it tells you like, oh, there's only 5 more left in this area. So then I'm like, oh, I might as well just stay in this area and just find the rest of the Diglets just to do it. And so I really enjoy collecting them. And then I guess I missed the memo when they said that they'll give me an Alolan Pokemon when I return the Diglett. So I had like a ridiculously large number of Diglett, and I walked over to them like, yeah, here you go. And they were like, oh, well, now that you have 10, here, take this. And I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, come back when you have 20. So I got like a whole bunch of Pokemon just right off the bat. And so that just was like, I'm like completing my Pokédex, which is like more collecting for me, which is great. But then I'm also doing it by collecting other things, which is like so satisfying to me. I want, because I know they had like something with like star pieces, but like I want more Diglett type things to collect in this game. I
loved this. This was a welcome addition to Pokemon. Like just being able to explore and find something, and then it was fun.
I want more ways to engage in the world other than I see this Pokemon in the wild area, let me catch it. Yeah. I want to be able to like be looking for something else, or I'll see a trainer who like, oh, if you give me this looking for trades. I like things like that, so I want things to move more in that direction, so that was very welcome. The Diglets are a nice addition.
I didn't write this down, but there's no one that challenges you to a battle on the island, which I love. I hate that. I hate when I'm just trying to enjoy myself and someone's like, let's battle, I see you. And I'm like, none of these people do, which is great. The bike has cool new cosmetic options. I don't know if you played around with those.
I played around with it very briefly. I didn't care about the bike too much.
It just leaves a little trail of sparkles, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's nice to see them still using that thing.
Yeah. I have like the all white setting for it, so
there is
like a spaceman
style card which your rival gives you after you beat them that unlocks more hairstyles and clothes.
I love that. Yeah.
There are new league card designs in this expansion. There's a new battle type in the dojo called Restricted Sparring once you finish the story. I haven't tried it out yet, but it seems interesting. 2 new moves added in this, so it's clear that they could continue adding moves, and it's called Terrain Pulse and Burning Jealousy. I think it's grass and fire, 2 separate attacks. There's a fun new cosmetic item for completing the Isle of Armor Pokedex, which I won't spoil.
Did you complete the Pokedex already?
I haven't completed it yet. I've been relaxing. I did focus a lot on the Diglett. I completed that. And I completed the story, and now I'm kind of just leisurely going around and catching Pokemon.
Okay.
The gym leaders, which this is something I discovered today when I had finished up. I guess after I finished the story, I don't think I saw any of them before, but they're just around the island. You can kind of say hello to them. They don't. I wish you could battle them, like ask to battle, but it's just they're
That's
just hanging
neat.
out on the island. I saw the fire gym leader, and I saw the fighting gym leader just hanging out.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a neat
That's
addition to reuse things like that. So like you keep seeing gym leaders throughout the game.
I really like that. But one quick thing.
Sure.
So you get to pick a Kanto starter in the middle of this expansion, and you can pick between a Bulbasaur and a Squirtle. Is that the same for you?
Yep, everyone does, because when you beat the league, you get the Charmander for free. Like you get it from Leon, and then
okay.
So everyone has a Charmander, so you get to choose. So obviously, I chose Bulbasaur, and then
okay. I was trying to figure that because I was like, is it canon that Leon picked the Charmander?
I think so.
It's not there.
I think so.
But I thought that was a nice touch.
I think that is the story reason, honestly.
Okay.
But yeah, So you get a choice between a Bulbasaur and a Squirtle, which is really exciting. They have all the starters have new Gigantamax forms. So all the Kanto starters and all the Galarian starters have Gigantamax form now. I was happy. I loved the main game after playing it. I think this expansion it fits perfectly. It's like I said, it's a recharging of this. Like, I feel like I can keep playing the game now. I'll still have new stuff to discover. And then with the new expansion coming out or part 2 of it coming out in the fall, there's even more. Mm-hmm. Like I'm even more excited for that. This is not where it ends,
Yeah.
So they added the base game of Sword and Shield had 400 Pokemon. They added 107 in this. So right now it's sitting at 507. It seems like they'll probably add that same amount in the next expansion, potentially, or the next part of it.
It seems like the next one is going to be a lot more story oriented.
I get the opposite.
That's what it looked like to me.
I get the opposite feeling because I feel more so like it's like I don't know. I looked at the features of each, like part 1 and part 2, and part 1 has a lot more, like, and I don't know if they're more minor features, but part 1 had a lot more features implemented than part 2 is going to have. But who knows? I mean, they may decide like to do more, but I can't imagine that they would say like, oh, here's another 400 Pokemon in the next part of this like. So it kind of makes me think like we'll probably get another 100, and then we'll still be missing around 300 Pokemon in the game, like to have a complete Pokemon game with all the Pokemon that are in it. So it makes me feel like they might do more DLC, more expansions. I don't know.
I hope they do. I think my final thoughts on it, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. If you enjoyed the base game, the expansion's worth it. I think you're proof of that. You really enjoyed the first one. You really enjoy this. With Pokemon, either I skip it or I'm hardcore into it, and this is the first time where I did neither. I played through the whole thing, but I wasn't super into it. So
yeah.
I'm still a little about the expansion so far.
I feel like that might be detrimental to your experience because you played it like clearly to talk about it. So
yeah,
that might be part of why you don't enjoy it quite as much.
There were definitely aspects that I didn't enjoy, but the most fun parts for me were the parts where I had free time and I was finding the Diglets and I was trying to complete the Alolan Dex and my Pokédex by trading Watts for people. The 3 trials for the dojo were like I essentially one-shotted every opponent I fought, so it was just really easy. And so I was a little disappointed by that. There's not like an adaptive leveling since I had completed the main game. My Pokemon were pretty strong. So
there is adaptive leveling, but it's not in the sense that you think, which that is kind of a detriment to the game. I think it's a bummer. It's based on the amount of badges you have. So you have all the badges, so that's the most it will be. So if someone comes in with one badge or no badges, things will be a little bit less, I believe.
Okay, because it just felt really easy to me. Except I'm at the tower. I have not done the tower. That'll definitely be a challenge because you can only do it with Cub Fu.
It's not.
Oh well, but that was like the most challenging part for me were catching the new Pokemon and trying to like, because some of the new Pokemon, they're all base level 60, so
yeah, this is the same. You had that written down in the outline, and I actually got rid of it because it's the same in the wild area and the other part of the game. That's just the wild area. That's just the standard. It's been a while since
I've played, I guess.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, some of them, like, it's actually kind of challenging to face some of them. So I made it through the main trials. I goofed off in the wild area for a little bit. I've gotten a decent portion of the Diglett. Mm-hmm. Then I get to the tower, and they're like, hey, it's recommended that you get your Cub Fu leveled up to level 70.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like maybe give me some like quests or like something that I can do that will level up my Cub Fu as opposed to like just
I was gonna tell you this earlier,
grinding.
but I was just gonna let you like play the game on your own. But I think you're forgetting the candy system they have in this game. That you can just feed it candies and level it up.
I mean, yeah, but that's not as fun. Like I'd like to do some sort of like, you know, maybe go on like another, like, why not give me the Cub Fu, then do the 3 challenges? So then I'm like leveling up my Cub Fu while like I feel like I'm growing with it, as opposed to like, here's this Pokemon, now look at like some scenery. Yeah. Now just shove a bunch of rare candies down its throat, grind in the wild area.
I mean, I went and leveled it up in the like the actual main area of the game. I went back to like the beginning area and like went a couple places, and then after I got to like, I think I got to 30 or 40 or something, and then I gave it some candies, and then we went back to
That's kind of where I'm at. I'm at like level 36. I've just been like grinding in the wild area.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I'll just give it some rare that didn't even occur to me. I was just like, man, like,
I know.
Do they just expect me to just grind in this area? Like,
Chanseys and Blissies give a lot of experience. So if you see those, you can fight those, and they give quite a bit of experience in the
okay.
The new area.
Yeah. But that was just like that. I didn't like that very much. That kind of rubbed me off on like the wrong way of like, you know, I doubt that they're coming from the mentality of like, oh, we're trying to make this expansion longer by giving you the, you know, because obviously there's ways to get around it. Mm-hmm. But I would have liked maybe some more trainers, or maybe the other disciples of this dojo, maybe being able to challenge them or something.
Sure.
Just a little bit more, but I think that the Crown Tundra, I look at the legendary Pokemon in that, which is being framed as more of like a legendary compared to Cub Fu, which makes me think maybe there's a bit more lore or story behind it. And so I'm thinking maybe we'll encounter some other trainers there. I'm going to continue getting the expansion passes if they make another pass. Mm-hmm. This is only making the game better, so I like the game more than I did before with this expansion. Yeah, so I'm kind of meh, but I think if you enjoy the base game, you enjoy Pokemon, get this one.
For sure.
You'll like it. And if not, you know, maybe hold out a little longer, and you can always get it later. Better to know all the information later and make your choice then. But yeah, so
yeah. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say about the expansion?
Nope. Yeah, I'm not. I have a whole.
You had talked about some of that stuff, so I didn't know if you wanted to say anything else.
I have a whole Pokemon graphics soapbox that I could get on, but I'm not going to do that because I want to be positive about this. I think that these expansions happening, it's the first of hopefully several steps that'll make the Pokemon that I want in the future. So
I don't think to be fair, I don't think they could have done anything different graphics wise in this game.
Exactly,
like in this expansion, because they already have the game. You can't really if they made it way different, that I don't know if that would work on a technological standpoint, and I don't know if it'd work on a it'd be very jarring to go from one place and then enter the expansion that's way different.
A lot of my thoughts, since I had finished the game months ago, and now I'm getting back to the expansion, so I'm being reminded of a bunch of small graphical tidbits from the base game that I'm like,
sure.
So yeah, it's fine,
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Maybe you should be the last one to say something about the Pokemon expansion, because you're a lot more positive.
I enjoyed
than I am
it.
about it.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
That is maybe like 25% influenced by the fact that Dunsparce is in the game again.
That actually, that was the first Pokemon I think I encountered.
Really?
In the wild. I saw that and I was like, oh, gotta catch it.
I was so excited. I was like, I actually didn't know about it. Aaron texted me and I was like, oh, have you seen Dunsparce yet? And I was like, what? I was like, I didn't realize it was in the game. And so I found one and I was like, wow, this is amazing. But yeah, I'd recommend it. It's a good expansion. I'm excited for the second part of it. We also had a Pokemon Direct this past week. We are recording in between the first Pokemon Direct that happened this week and then the one that will happen next week. So
we are sandwiched between several Nintendo events. So
yeah.
we'll have several things to talk about next episode.
For sure. Right now, inside Pokemon Sword and Shield, there's an event, a max raid event with the mythical Pokemon Zeraora. If 1 million players defeat him, then everyone will get a shiny Zeraora in their Pokemon Home. So they're kind of encouraging people to use Pokemon Home. Pokemon Smile, the toothbrushing game.
Yeah, that's weird. Nintendo always has this like weird like fixation on quality of life. Wii Fitness. There's been talk about
the jump rope game that just came out on the Switch.
Yeah, that's been a thing. There's always been talk about a Nintendo sleep monitor and a heart rate monitor that they've talked about.
Pokemon Sleep is still a thing that's coming out, right?
Yeah. So there's all sorts of they've always been into these really weird things. This is supposed to encourage people to brush their teeth thoroughly and regularly, and they're using Pokemon to do that. I think it's cute. It's one of those I will never be a parent. Ever.
Yeah, probably I won't either.
But if I really enjoyed Pokemon and I had children, I would be real. It's always neat to like introduce younger people to things that you enjoy,
to indoctrinate them in your hobbies.
Indoctrinate them into the cult that is Pokemon. And I'm also curious if this will create some sort of future nostalgia in the same way that we look back at. I don't know if you were familiar with Leapfrog and like the Leapfrog tablets and stuff.
It was a little bit young for me, I think, at the time, but I had something similar.
I have like nostalgia for things like that, and like in elementary school, like let's teach you how to type, and you play all these like kid pics and typing mini games. I feel like this will kind of age along the same way, where there will now be a group of people who might look back at this and like, oh yeah, that toothbrushing app that I was forced to use as a kid for a long time with this weird looking Pikachu or whatever. And maybe I'm overestimating its popularity. Maybe like 3 sets of parents will use it.
I think it's for a very specific niche, but Pokemon does have my experience with the Pokemon community, like playing the card game and going to places where there is a big crowd of people that like Pokemon. There are a lot of families who are like, it's something that like parents who like are still into Pokemon, it's easy for them to like, hey, like you're my kid and you can enjoy this too. Like, so it wouldn't surprise me if there's a big amount of people using this, but it's also a very niche, like,
it's so weird to announce in a direct like this. Like the people who are most likely to download this app are probably not tuning in to watch this.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Like, how do you tell that's a little weird, but sure, it's trademark Nintendo to do something like that.
We also saw a new game announced called Pokemon Cafe Mix. I'm not a huge fan of what I saw. It looks like a Pokemon Troze, like Diner Dash, like something weird.
It's definitely a strange looking puzzle game. I'm happy when I see things like this because it lets me like whenever Pokemon experiments and does like these really random like side games, there's an off chance that it'll actually be really, really, really good. So this one doesn't look like it's going to be.
It looks like
very captivating
Flash game. I did not like it.
I like the aesthetic. I think that it visually looks nice, but probably won't be playing that one either. But it's interesting that it launches both on mobile and Switch.
I didn't
kind of
pay
telling
attention.
on the type of game that it is.
I stopped paying attention. It did look like a mobile game.
Yeah, so that's neat. But I think the most important thing that we're both kind of eager to talk about is your Christmas wish to Santa.
Came true.
It came true. It took Santa 2 months to get a trailer ready. Since
it's a Christmas miracle in June.
2 months ago, I had asked Bryan to ask Santa for Pokemon Snap 2 in the hopes that he brings it to us, and he has fulfilled his promise. They have announced it's called New Pokemon Snap. Very creative name. Couldn't call it Pokemon Snap 2. Couldn't give it a subtitle. It's called New Pokemon Snap. I am slightly triggered, but I'm happy we're getting a new installment in the series, so it's fine. And I'm just being a big old baby. This thing looks amazing.
It looks so good. I'm so excited.
My heart skipped a beat whenever, the camera snap happens of the Pikachu on the beach, and I knew immediately it was Pokemon Snap because Pikachu Beach is like, this is Pokemon Snap. It's got
holding an apple or whatever. Yeah, I'm like,
yeah. Whenever the cart appears from nowhere with the guy inside, I was like, I remember at the beginning of the Pokemon level, like Snap levels, the cart would appear. And
that's not Tracy.
it just felt like, the nostalgic rush of, the cart like looks very similar to the original, and it pops in the same way, and like,
but everything looks so nice. I was expecting I wasn't expecting a new game. I was expecting either a re-release of the game, just for the Switch, or just like a remaster of it, maybe a couple extra Easter eggs put in, and maybe a tune-up. But I wasn't expecting a whole sequel, just no notice, just, hey, by the way,
I don't think anybody was.
Huh?
I don't think anybody was. I think we've been asking for something like this for years. It's crazy how now is the time they are fulfilling it, and it's even stranger that Bandai Namco is making this.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, these are the Bandai Namco had made Pokken Tournament, and they have also made Smash Brothers. So their relationship with Nintendo has been pretty tight. So it's cool that I trust them. I think that the things that they've made for Nintendo have turned out really well.
I'll let them know. I think they also have Tamagotchi.
Yeah, I believe so. I think that because sometimes Nintendo, there's certain developers where it's like, these people are in charge of the next so-and-so game, and it's not, it's not very good.
Yeah.
So they have a really good track record of the last couple Smash Brothers games have been great. I really liked Pokken Tournament.
Yeah, I did too.
So I'm happy that somebody else is making it. It's nice. Game Freak has more time to focus on their own things, and give Pokemon Snap to somebody else. Let them do it.
Something I was surprised to learn, which you probably already know, when I was looking up information about the old Pokemon Snap, I saw that they did in fact release it on the Wii as a virtual console title in 2007, and which I think I might have been aware of, but I just at that time wasn't interested in. And then on the Wii U in 2017, which I can't believe that. I don't know. If I had known about that, I would have played it. I was like, what?
It's really hard because that's one of the ROMs that, and I do not endorse illegally pirating games.
You gotta own the game, yeah.
Yeah, I legally own the virtual console copy and the Nintendo 64 copy, but that game is one of the notorious games where it's it's nearly impossible to get it to work on an emulator. So you're kind of forced to virtual console or the original. but I had recently, independently of me knowing about this Pokemon Snap game, had forced Dana to, because I'm captain recommendation, and so I'm always recommending new games and stuff for Dana to play, and she never has time to finish any of them because I'm like, no, all right, we got to try this one now. But she played Pokemon Snap, but the controls were just too. The controls for that game are really weird with the 64 controller. So
yeah, I don't remember them being great. That's not the part that I remember being good.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to work, especially a newcomer coming into it. So this is going to bring this same gameplay to so many new people, Dana included, and I am so gosh darn excited for it. It's going to be great.
We didn't see any Dunsparce in this, so I can't be at 100% excitement, but I am just so hyped to see so many different Pokemon across so many different generations showcased in this trailer. That is so exciting to me. We see a lot of the beach and the jungle in this trailer as well, and I know, like, assuming things is a little dangerous, especially when it comes to Nintendo, but I kind of assume, like, we'll probably go to other places, too. Like, I think...
definitely. I think the original had, I think, five or six.
Yeah, I was like, I remember being, like, in a volcano and, like some sort of cave system in the original, and, like... So I'm like, yeah, I feel like we'll have that again, and I really hope we see the kind of interaction between Pokemon that was in the original, and, like, some, like, fun... Like, I hope there's things to discover about this world, which I assume there will be, you know.
I think there's a really cool shot in this trailer where I think a fish jumps out of the water.
Oh, and a Pidgeot.
A bird Pokemon grabs it.
Magikarp jumps out of the water and Pidgeot grabs it, which is kind of funny, yeah.
That's the kind of thing that, like, walking around in the wild area in the Pokemon expansion, seeing the Wailord in the background and kind of seeing Pokemon kind of walking around, and like Sharpedo chasing after you in the expansion, you know?
Yeah.
Seeing that interaction, like the ideas coming together, like seeing these Pokemon interact in this world in this way, like, yeah, there we go. That's Pokemon Snap is my Pokemon game. Like, I want to see these things interact. I want to feel like I'm on Animal Planet watching these things interact. That's what I want. So this is right up my alley. Wonderful.
I think we might get that. I think I'm incredibly hopeful. I think I don't know. I'm just so excited. That's kind of the biggest takeaway is, like, this is amazing. Like, why did it take them this long?
What's interesting is, or not interesting, what the thing that will lower us from our high right now is that there was not a release date at the end of this trailer.
Nope.
And so I'm curious, because it kind of looked like it's pretty early in development. So I'm curious if we'll see this by the end of the year, if this will be a Christmas gift, you know, if this will come out November, December, or if this is going to take a little longer.
I don't know. That
they usually don't have the reputation of revealing a game, you know, 2 years out. You know, we'll probably get this soon, but who knows? We didn't get a date. But I guess, like, one of the last things I would like to ask you, Bryan, is what kind, and I'll shoot some suggestions too. What kind of features would you like to see in a new Pokemon Snap?
So I really want to see some sort of, like, and this is less gameplay and more just like some sort of, like, nostalgia thing. I really want to see, like, because obviously you can't go to a Blockbuster and get your stickers printed out. But I want to see some sort of, like, either a partnership with something where it's like, maybe they do some sort of cross promotion with, like, a Walgreens or something, and you can get something printed, or they have it integrated in the game where you can, like, upload straight to, like, Instagram or something. I want to see something like that where I'm like, that was such a cool aspect of the first Pokemon Snap that I just want to see some way to, like, I don't know. And as I was looking it up, I saw on the Wii, they allowed you to post your photos to, like, your bulletin board or whatever on the Wii.
I remember that.
So I want to see, like, what that looks like now, or, like, I don't know. I love the stickers. I would buy, if they sold, like, a separate sticker machine and, like, paper, I would buy it. You know, I'd be so fucking elated. But But I don't know what kind of features are you talking about? Because I don't think it was that.
Well, I kind of agree with what I expect to see social media integration at like this is what I expect. I think Xbox and PlayStation, and yes, Nintendo's different than both of them, but social media is a very key role in both of those other systems. There is a share button on both, and you can upload screenshots, and I think you can also upload screenshots from your Switch to social media through the Switch interface. I'd like to see a way to post your pictures from Pokemon Snap to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, what have you. But I'd also like to see a leaderboard. Final Fantasy 15 has these bulletin boards throughout the world that you can look at, and there's photography contests that they have where you can upload pictures of things that Prompto takes during battles, and people vote and pick the best photo, so you get to see who has the best photos each month.
That'd be cool.
So I'd love to see like, oh, these are like the top 3 photos of this month in Pokemon Snap. The last thing I'll say, and this is very, this is probably the most radical idea for something like this. Like, it's unlikely that it would be this in depth, but it'd be nice to see some seasonal Pokemon, or maybe they could patch some things in where, only certain times of the year you'll see certain Pokemon on this map to entice people to kind of keep playing throughout the year. Because I think,
or even if they did kind of follow the same game plan where they're following with these games, if they had like a DLC aspect, which I know DLC is like a dirty word for a lot of people because they hear it and they immediately are like, well, they withheld that content from me for the main game. And I think game prices have relatively stayed the same as other costs have increased. So I feel like they have to find a way. People don't want to see loot boxes in games, and there's legislation now like barring that in some places, and they have to find a way to make money and they have to make other revenue, besides just the mainline game. Like, so I want to see them say like, hey, here's an expansion, but here's like a really good expansion. This is extra to the game. It's enhancing your experience, like what we're seeing in Sword and Shield. So
I see it as, I would see expansions for this the same way I do with Animal Crossing. How you kind of get like some sort of like very small promotion where, maybe one of the Pokemon, like the off chance, like you'll see a shiny Pikachu on the beach or something instead of a regular. If you tune in on this day, or late at night, maybe you'll see one or two new.
That would be cool though. What if there are shiny?
That's how I see it.
What if there are shiny Pokemon like just randomly throughout the game? That would be a cool feature.
I wouldn't put it past them. I think
because that would like change how your photos, or like if you find a shiny Pokemon, you'd be like, oh my god, that's you know what I mean? That would be
probably
a cool
get
thing.
Extra points too. Yeah, no, I think that'd be really neat. But yeah, that's how I see Pokemon Snap. I think, I don't know how, I mean, Animal Crossing is this juggernaut of cash right now, but obviously they're still putting work into additional content that, maybe since their mainline engine is finished, adding newer things isn't as hard. But yeah, if Snap is successful, I'd want to see things more in line of that, as opposed to like a formal expansion of we're adding some new levels and stuff. I'd rather see like maybe like add 1 or 2 Pokemon every couple months. I think that'd be more than enough to keep me interested in it. But if we got anything formal, that is also cool. The more the merrier. I'd like it to be very spread out, so it lives on forever. I'll be on my deathbed and they're still adding some new stuff. I don't know. So yeah,
I'm excited. I think this is great. So yeah, we have additionally some things I don't necessarily care for. Pokemon Go.
Oh, did you say Pokemon Go?
I enjoyed it for what it was when it came out, and I've tried to play it recently, and it's not like, it is a Pokemon game, but it's not a traditional Pokemon game, and I'm not interested in playing mobile games.
I appreciate experiments on the formula, but Go is not for me.
For sure.
I like that other people like it, and the fact that it gets more people talking about Pokemon, which is a win for me.
Yeah,
the more people talking about Pokemon, the better.
It's more accessible. Almost everyone has a smartphone. They can play Pokemon Go. Not everyone has a Switch. But yeah, they are adding in Mega Evolutions to Pokemon Go, which I was
so excited.
I saw the Mega Evolutions and I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, Pokemon Go. I was like, what a bummer.
I was because like Pokemon Go is the most successful Pokemon game of recent time. So the fact that they're adding Mega Evolutions is like, sure, it's Pokemon Go, like who cares? But they acknowledged Mega Evolutions again. They're not trying to hide these things. Yeah. This exists. They could potentially bring this back. Obviously, I don't think it's going to come back in an expansion pass, but
I don't know.
The next one, who knows? Like,
I feel like there's that possibility. I don't want to get too excited for something that's like clearly like in no way them including Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Go means that they will be in Sword and Shield, but
it means that it's still on their minds and it's on the table.
It means that Niantic wanted to use Mega Evolutions and Nintendo maybe didn't say no. You know what I mean? Like they were like, okay, like so. I mean, I hope that they were like, I hope that this does mean like, oh, Mega Evolutions are still in people's brains. They're not going to disappear. They didn't just go away after the last generation. So maybe they'll can come back at some point. Maybe they already have all these designs of these Pokemon that are going unused. You know what I mean? They could easily pop back those items in the game, add those forms. I don't know. I don't want to say that in the way that makes it sound like it's just the matter of like flipping a switch. So because I don't know how that works. But it's a possibility,
It's neat to see that. Like, I'm happy that they're being acknowledged. I think the more likely scenario here, which is also the nudge, the gauge of the percent likelihood of Mega Evolutions returning in a mainline Pokemon game went from 0 to 1% with this announcement.
Yep, I agree.
That's at the dial, and
it is now a possibility.
It is more likely than it was before, because especially Game Freak is. I can't get a read on them. Nintendo's a lot more like Paper Mario, like. You can't make new characters anymore. You got to stay in this universe. This is the rule, blah, blah, blah. Whereas Pokemon, like, sure, put Mega Evolutions in there, even though they're not in the base games, I don't know if that means that they're open to including them in other works, or if that just means that they're way more loose than maybe Nintendo is. But I'm happy they're doing it. I think it's more likely that we'll see this if they make another Let's Go game, maybe Mega Evolutions will return there, since
maybe
Pokemon Go and Let's Go are closely integrated together. But yeah, I am so glad that Mega Evolutions are back, especially in the mainstream.
Yeah,
people who don't know about them already are going to learn about them. Because
that's the thing I'm most excited about, because like this, it's almost like some sort of like signal boost, like for people that are unaware that they're not. They're
gonna be
games.
Like, what?
They're gonna be like, why isn't this in the game right now? Like in Sword and Shield.
There's a fourth evolution.
Charizard has another form. 2 more forms.
This isn't even his final form.
So we're kind of at the end of this announcement, but we have another one coming up in a couple days, which this podcast will come out the same day. So we don't know what that announcement will be. They teased.
And that's frustrating.
They teased, like, I want to say it's been a couple days since I listened to the announcement, but I want to say that it said that the big news was coming on June 24th. I hope I'm not just like remembering wrong. But
I mean, obviously, okay. Here's my stance on it.
It's big enough to be split into a separate.
Yeah, obviously this is big enough to be like, because they announced Pokemon Snap 2 on this, and that's like, I'd consider that pretty big as far as the Pokemon community.
Yeah.
And so if this thing is big enough to be in a separate direct than Pokemon Snap 2, it has to be a Let's Go game or the Sinnoh remake.
I think there's the possibility it could be
or Pokken
expansions. I think that's a possibility, like because we are going to see Crown Tundra coming up soon, so they could say, like, by the way, like, we are working on new expansions. I think that's a possibility. But I think it could be a Let's Go game. I've seen the photoshopped game covers for Let's Go Pichu and Let's Go Meryl. I don't think it would be Meryl. I think it would be Togepi. Togepi is much more of like a fan favorite in terms of like the fact that Misty carried one around the entire anime when she was in it. Togepi is so much more recognizable to just the general audience that are not Pokemon fans. So
I think the theory stems from I think there's a Meryl and Pichu plushie sitting next to each other on his shelf.
Oh, is that what it is?
In the background, yeah, on the lower right corner you can see the plushies standing next, and the rest of the plushies on the back wall are all of Gen 2.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, it could be
calculated. He could just be a huge Gen 2 fan. Who knows?
I don't know. I feel like, yeah, it could be a Let's Go game for Let's Go, like the Johto version. I know there was a thing when Meryl was first designed that it was, people called it Peekaboo for a bit, and I know there was some truth to some sort of like. I don't think it was meant to be the Pikachu clone. Maybe it was. I know they came out with Pichu, obviously, that generation as well. So people kind of used that as the Pikachu clone for that generation. But I think there was something about Meryl, like being
something about Meryl.
Something about Meryl. It was supposed to be tied in some way. Yeah. Anyway, who knows? It could be the Diamond and Pearl remake you've been waiting for.
That's okay. Let me be honest with you. That's what I want. I want this Diamond and Pearl remake, Brian.
I know.
And I don't think I'm getting it tomorrow, but I have to hold on. I'm like the widow after the Titanic, waiting for.
You're not the only one. I do
waiting
see
for my Pokemon games to come home.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
It is curious that they stopped right before that, because I feel like if they had stopped at Gen 5, I don't think anyone would have said anything. Like, if they had stopped remaking them, like they stopped at Gen 5, I don't think anyone would have been up in arms. But
I am so spoiled by Nintendo as far as like, man, I want Banjo-Kazooie and Smash. They managed to do it. Like, I want another Paper Mario game. Like, they did it. Like, I want, these Mario remasters seem to be everything like one of my big wishes a while ago was for Little Mac to be in Smash, and they did. Like, the only Nintendo fandom or fandom in general that I'm a part of that I just consistently don't get what I want is Pokemon, and all I want is the Sinnoh remakes.
I get
Pokemon
everything
Snap
I want.
2. I will accept Pokemon Snap 2 for I will take this and I will wait 2 to 3 more years, and I will ask for another offering if you do not give me my Sinnoh remakes. So even if it's a Let's Go, I don't even care.
What if the announcement on the 24th is that they are doing a Dunsparce Evolution and they have a whole announcement dedicated to that? What's more likely? Tell us in the comments below.
If that gets us closer to Sinnoh, then
If that's what happens, and then I said this though, man, that'll be a great clip.
If that happens for you, I'm just gonna close my eyes and just focus really hard and just really try to all right, just pretend to be Brian, and I'll be happy. Like, let me trick myself into accepting this as great news. We'll see.
Yeah.
May the best win. May the best one win.
I don't know. I'm excited. I'm hopeful. I feel like I'm in a totally different headspace than I was before Sword and Shield came out. I feel like when the announcements were coming out about that, I was for some reason upset. And I understand now, looking back, knowing not all the Pokemon would make it in and being uncertain about what Pokemon would make it in. I think that it was the uncertainty that upset me. But right now I'm looking at it in a way that's like, you know what? I'm just really happy that they're coming out with all these things. And like, I think it's been proven now, and why I like the expansion so much. It's been proven now that they are listening to feedback on that, and they are implementing those changes, and it's not going to be a world in which they say, here's the Pokemon game, that's what you get, that's it, you know? And that's kind of all I ever wanted, was just for them to be like, oh, our fans want this, so let's do it. And I wish it didn't happen in such a negative, like, toxic way. I wish I wasn't so upset about it, and I wish I still see like a really big population of people, or at least the vocal population I see on social media, still upset about the DLC and about the fact that it's $30 and just stuff all the time. And I'm like, I don't feel that way anymore. I'm just gonna enjoy what I have, you know. And I know,
I think,
yeah,
like my big issue with it all is so many countless other game franchises evolve at such a faster rate than Game Freak and Pokemon.
Sure.
And the fact that, because they are improving, but they are improving at such a slower rate than everything else.
Sure.
And so comparing it, you're just like, man, like you're over here right now, but like, why aren't you over there already? And they're just like, hey, hang on, we're gonna get there. We just, you know, you're just gonna get there, you know, one baby step at a time. So it's every
progress.
step that they make is great. It's progress. I'm impatient. I'd like to see my perfect. I want to be blown away again. So, and let me. I'm selfish for saying that, because there's a lot of people working hard on this project. But by golly, you know, like
I'm excited.
Let's see some other stuff. But yeah, excited. I'm excited for their big announcement. So we're gonna see. Keep my fingers crossed for those Sinnoh remakes.
Check back next week to see Andy upset.
If
it is not that.
If you want to see me cry, tune in for next episode. And I don't know what an absurd bet to make would be if they announced the Sinnoh remake, but you know, if they announce that Sinnoh remake, we're celebrating next episode. Things are gonna get crazy. I will. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I'll eat my hat.
The one you're wearing?
Not this one. I really like this hat.
I was gonna say.
That man, a sacrifice for. You must sacrifice something you love to get the Sinnoh remake.
If you had to get rid of that hat for them to make the Sinnoh remakes, would you do it?
I would be very upset, but I would. if you're giving me a hypothetical in which, like, the only way it would never exist if I did not destroy this hat, because this hat is. I really like this hat. There's backstory behind this hat, and you know, I've worn this hat in a lot of places, but I would sacrifice it if that meant the birth of the remakes I so desperately desire.
Well, I think that's pretty much all we have to say today. Thank you for listening. You know, it was a lot of Pokemon today, and next week probably won't be. We'll probably talk about the announcement and then find some other stuff to talk about. So,
well, until next time, we'll catch you later.
Yeah, if you enjoyed what you listened to, you can find us on social media at DeskPopCast. And if you have comments, suggestions, or questions for us, you can send them to deskpopcast@gmail.com. So,
yep. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, please. I know people say that, and like when I hear that in videos, I just keep doing whatever I'm doing and don't do that. But please do that for us.
It's so easy. Like we really need it.
We're
the
desperate.
Positive reinforcement.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a good week.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.